Human Rights Day is celebrated on December 10th each year to acknowledge the establishment of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a document which enshrines fundamental rights to which every human being is entitled, regardless of their race, skin color, religion, sex at birth, language, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. Human Rights Day is observed to reflect on the global progress towards protecting and ensuring human rights for everyone. Rita French, the Deputy Permanent Representative to the United Nations in Geneva, explains that human rights revolve around freedom, equality, and justice. Two aspects of human rights that need to be further addressed, however, are women's rights and gender equality.
For me personally, I'd say championing and advancing women's rights is very important to me. And I've seen through my visits to countries around the world how young girls and young women are unable to participate in society, unable to have an education, unable to make decisions about their bodies, and unable to take forward, equal treatment as men. And I think as a society, we miss out as well. And for me, as a mother to two children, I want my children and I want other children around the world to have those same opportunities. So I think we need to make more of an active decision to advance women's rights around the world, because when you leave 50% of the population behind, then we are truly not achieving our goals.
According to the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Report 2023, global gender parity won't be achieved in the next 131 years, with East Asia and the Pacific region taking the longest to close the gender gap, taking 189 years. Therefore, this requires a change in people's mindset, which Rita believes will require a lot of effort from all sectors and education around these issues, including dialogue with all parts of the community. Regardless, she has witnessed significant improvements, especially in access to education for women and girls.
And I think one aspect where I think we are making considerable progress is ensuring that young girls have access to education. The more educated girls are around the world, and they then in the future will ensure that their children have the same privileges and the same accesses, and they have that ability to demand their rights and fight for their rights. And it's heartbreaking when you go around some of these communities where young girls feel that they have to stay at home, or they have to work, or they're unable to enjoy the same freedoms as their brother is able to do as well. So I think, are we going to see this change overnight? No, but considerable strides have been made in women's rights around the world, and it's fantastic to see. And it's fantastic to see the Thai government also promoting and championing women's rights as well. And I think it's the duty of all of us to genuinely champion gender equality.
Even though gender equality remains an issue around the world, Rita says the region of biggest concern at the moment is the Middle East, especially Afghanistan. Women's rights to freedom in Afghanistan have been taken away since the Taliban took over the country in 2021, when women and girls were barred from education or entering the workforce. At the same time, journalists, especially women, were forced to go on exile.
Afghanistan is the only country in the world that does not permit girls to go to school. That's made it illegal for girls to go to school, and that is shocking. But what gives me confidence is these women. These women are fighters, are not giving up, and want to drive change back in Afghanistan, and they're advocating, they're using their voice. They are advocating at the United Nations, they're advocating in other communities to say, we need to stand up to this. This is unacceptable. And that's what gives me confidence that there are communities, men and women, not just from the Afghan community, but also, many of us are touched by this, who are committed to standing up and speaking up about this.
While acknowledging that many countries, including Thailand, are on a journey to improving and committing to human rights, Rita strongly believes that political commitment by the government is the most important to ensuring these rights. Most importantly, the protection of women's rights and gender equality must be enshrined in national law, as well as the education of communities.
I think the best way to achieve progress on human rights is to engage with the diversity of voices and all stakeholders, including the communities that are most marginalised and the most vulnerable and the most discriminated, to hear about their concerns, to understand those issues. So my advice is that don't shy away from it, don't see this as a political issue. Human rights are essential for any state to achieve their sustainable development goals and that ambition to prosper in a sustainable way that leaves no one behind.
Nad Bunag reporting for Thai PBS World.